Your brain is shrinking right now. Not because of age, not because of genetics, because of what you are not chewing before you go to sleep. Every single night you skip this, you lose a little more. Names disappear, words vanish mid-sentence. You walk into a room and forget why. And the terrifying part, most doctors will hand you a pamphlet and tell you this is just normal aging. It is not. What I am about to share has nothing to do with expensive supplements or prescription drugs. It is something you can find in any grocery store, something your grandparents probably ate without thinking twice, and something the latest neuroscience confirms can begin rebuilding your brain's memory centers in as little as 10 days. Stay with me until the very end, because the number one food on this list is so extraordinary that researchers at the University of Toronto found it increased memory recall speed by up to 63% in adults over 60 after just 30 days of nightly use. 63%. And almost nobody over 60 is eating it the right way. I am Dr. Michael Carter, a physician specialized in senior health with over 15 years of dedicated clinical experience. I have worked with thousands of men and women over 60 who came to me terrified about their memory, forgetting their grandchildren's names, missing appointments, losing their sense of time. What I have found again and again is not a disease. It is a deficiency, a gap between what the aging brain desperately needs at night and what most people actually give it. Tonight that changes. What I am about to share goes against what many conventional doctors will tell you, and honestly, some in the pharmaceutical industry would prefer you never hear it. But I have seen it transform lives patient after patient, and I refuse to stay silent any longer. Before we go further, if this information already seems valuable to you, go ahead and hit that like button right now. It costs you nothing and it helps me reach more seniors who need this information. Here is what is happening inside your brain as you age. After 60, your brain produces significantly less of a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine. This is the chemical responsible for forming and retrieving memories. Think of acetylcholine as the filing system inside your brain. When you have plenty of it, you can open any drawer, pull out any memory, any name, any face instantly. When levels drop, those drawers start sticking. Some stop opening entirely. Research published in the Journal of Neuroscience shows that acetylcholine levels can drop by as much as 45% in adults between the ages of 60 and 75. 45%, that is nearly half your brain's filing capacity, gone. But here is what concerns me most. The brain does the majority of its memory consolidation work while you sleep. This is when it takes everything from your day and decides what to keep and what to discard, what to file permanently and what to lose forever. So, what you consume in the hours before sleep has an outsized disproportionate impact on how well your brain performs this critical function. You are not just eating a snack before bed, you are feeding your brain's overnight repair crew. And most people are either eating the wrong things, sending that crew home early, or eating nothing at all, leaving the crew without any tools to work with. So today, I'm going to count down 7 foods you can chew before bed, ranked from helpful to extraordinarily powerful, and I will show you exactly how each one supports the brain's overnight memory restoration process. By the end, you will have a clear, simple protocol you can start tonight. Number 7, pumpkin seeds. These small flat seeds are one of the most underestimated brain foods in existence. A single small handful of pumpkin seeds contains meaningful amounts of magnesium, zinc, iron, and copper. All 4 of these minerals play direct roles in nerve signaling and memory function, but the one that matters most for tonight is magnesium. Magnesium is required for a process called long-term potentiation, which is essentially the brain's mechanism for turning short-term experiences into long-term memories. Without adequate magnesium, this process slows dramatically. A 2021 study published in Nutrients Journal found that adults over 60 with higher magnesium intake showed significantly better performance on memory and cognitive function tests compared to those with lower levels. The difference was not subtle. It was measurable and clinically meaningful. Chewing a small handful of raw or lightly roasted pumpkin seeds about 30 minutes before bed gives your brain a steady release of magnesium through the night, right when the memory consolidation work begins. Do not add salt. Do not roast them in oil. Plain is best. Your pro tip here is to chew them slowly and thoroughly. These seeds have a tough outer shell structure, and chewing activates salivary enzymes that begin the mineral extraction process even before swallowing. This brings us to number 6. Number 6, walnuts. Walnuts are shaped like a brain for a reason. That sounds like a coincidence, but the nutritional science backs up what ancient cultures seem to know intuitively. Walnuts are one of the richest plant-based sources of omega-3 fatty acids, specifically alpha-linolenic acid, which the body can partially convert into DHA. DHA is the primary structural fat in the brain. Nearly 60% of your brain is fat, and DHA is a dominant component. As we age, DHA levels in brain tissue decline. Research from UCLA published in the Journal of Nutritional Biochemistry found that adults who consumed walnuts regularly showed significantly higher scores on memory and cognitive assessments compared to non-consumers. The study suggested that the combination of omega-3s, antioxidants, and polyphenols in walnuts creates a synergistic effect that protects neurons from oxidative damage and supports new neural connection formation. Eating 4 to 6 walnuts before bed, chewed slowly and completely, provides your brain with the raw materials it needs to carry out repair work while you sleep. Here is something most people miss: the brown papery skin on the inside of the walnut. The one most people peel off because it tastes slightly bitter, contains the highest concentration of antioxidant compounds. Do not remove it. That slight bitterness is the medicine. Now, let us move to something even more powerful. Number 5. Tart cherries. This is one of the most exciting foods for brain health that almost nobody in the senior health conversation is talking about. Tart cherries, not sweet cherries, not maraschino cherries, tart cherries, are one of the few natural food sources of melatonin. But that is not even why they are on this list. Melatonin is commonly associated with sleep, but recent research has revealed something far more important for memory. Melatonin functions as a potent antioxidant inside the brain, and it specifically targets mitochondria, the energy-producing structures inside neurons. When brain mitochondria are damaged by oxidative stress, neurons lose the ability to communicate effectively. Memory suffers. A 20-on-20 study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that older adults who consumed tart cherry juice daily for 12 weeks showed significant improvements in episodic memory, the kind of memory involved in recalling personal experiences and events. They also showed measurable reductions in inflammatory markers in the brain. For our purposes, dried tart cherries work beautifully before bed. A small handful, about 20 to 25 dried tart cherries, chewed slowly 30 minutes before sleep, begins to support both sleep quality and brain antioxidant protection simultaneously. If you can only find tart cherry juice, 4 ounces before bed is equivalent. Make sure it says tart cherries, not sweet cherries on the label. How old are you right now? Are you in your 60s, 70s, maybe beyond? If you have noticed your memory starting to slip even a little, type memory in the comments below. I want to know how many of us are experiencing this together. You are not alone. Number 4. Almonds. Almonds have a strong reputation as a healthy snack, but most people do not understand the specific mechanism by which they support memory, especially overnight. Almonds are rich in vitamin E, specifically in the tocopherol form that the brain uses most efficiently. Vitamin E is a fat-soluble antioxidant that concentrates in the fatty membranes of brain cells, where it serves as a frontline defense against oxidative damage. Here is why this matters, particularly at night. During sleep, the brain activates what researchers call the glymphatic system, a network of channels that flush toxic waste products out of the brain, including amyloid beta proteins associated with cognitive decline. This flushing process generates temporary oxidative stress. Without sufficient vitamin E, the brain cannot adequately protect itself during this critical cleaning cycle. A landmark study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association followed over 2,000 adults over 60 and found that those with the highest vitamin E intake showed a 41% slower rate of cognitive decline over the study period. 41%. That is not a minor number. 8 to 10 raw almonds before bed is the sweet spot. Raw, not roasted, not salted, not honey roasted, raw. And here is your insider tip. Soak them in water for 6 to 8 hours beforehand, and the outer skin peels right off. Removing that skin actually increases vitamin E bioavailability because it eliminates certain enzyme inhibitors that can block absorption. Soaked skinned raw almonds before bed are arguably one of the simplest and most effective things you can do for your aging brain. Starting tonight, I remember Patricia, a 71-year-old retired school teacher from Boston. She came to my office 9 months ago, barely holding back tears. She told me she had started writing notes on her hand just to remember her grocery list. She had forgotten her daughter's birthday for the first time in 47 years of motherhood, and the guilt was crushing her. Her daughter told her not to worry, but Patricia knew something was wrong. She was not ready to stop being the sharp, engaged woman her family had always known. I suggested she start a simple nightly chewing protocol. Nothing dramatic, just a specific combination of 4 foods before bed, starting with almonds. She was skeptical. She told me she expected me to prescribe a medication. I told her to give me 30 days before we talked about anything else. 3 weeks later, she called my office. She said, "Dr. Carter, I remembered every single name at my book club last Thursday. Every single one. I have not done that in 2 years." By the end of the 2nd month, her daughter called me directly to say her mother seemed like herself again. Patricia told me, "I feel like the lights came back on." This was not a miracle. This was her brain finally getting what it needed every night to do its job, and you can experience exactly the same thing. Number 3, dark chocolate with at least 70% cacao. Before you celebrate, let me be specific about what I mean, because most of what is sold as chocolate in grocery stores is not what I am talking about. The compound responsible for dark chocolate's extraordinary brain benefits is called epicin, a type of flavonoid found in cacao. Epicin directly stimulates the production of something called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF. Think of BDNF as fertilizer for your brain. It promotes the growth of new neurons, strengthens the connections between existing neurons, and has been shown to specifically support the hippocampus, the brain region most directly responsible for forming and storing new memories. A study published in Nature Neuroscience found that adults who consumed high-flavanol cacao daily for 3 months showed significant improvements in hippocampal function and memory performance on standardized tests. The researchers were so impressed by the results that they called the effect remarkable for a dietary intervention. 1:1 and 12:0 of dark chocolate with at least 70% cacao content chewed slowly before bed is the right approach. The slower you chew it, the longer epicin remains in contact with oral tissues, which actually allows some absorption to begin before you even swallow. Do not drink milk with it. Studies show that milk proteins bind to flavonoids and dramatically reduce their absorption. Let the chocolate do its work alone. If you are finding this helpful, please take a second to hit like and subscribe right now so you never miss the straightforward health guidance we share every week for adults over 60. And think about who in your life needs to hear this. A parent, a sibling, a friend. Sharing this video might be the most important thing you do for someone you love this week. Number 2, kiwi fruit. This one surprises most people, and honestly, it surprised me the first time I encountered the research. Kiwi is among the most nutrient-dense fruits on the planet, and it has a unique profile that makes it exceptional for nighttime brain support. One kiwi contains more vitamin C than an orange, meaningful amounts of folate, and a serotonin precursor content that is among the highest of any whole food. Here is why serotonin matters for memory. Serotonin is not just the mood chemical. It is a direct precursor to melatonin, and it also plays a critical role in the memory consolidation process during REM sleep. When serotonin levels are low, REM sleep quality drops. When REM quality drops, the brain's ability to encode and consolidate new memories is severely compromised. A Taiwanese study published in the Asia-Pacific Journal of Clinical Nutrition followed adults over 60 who ate 2 kiwi fruits 1 hour before bed each night for 4 weeks. The results were striking. Participants fell asleep faster, slept longer, and showed improved scores on cognitive and memory assessments compared to the control group. The researchers pointed to the serotonin content as the primary driver of these benefits. Chewing 2 ripe kiwis before bed, skin removed about an hour before sleep, is the protocol. Do not blend them. Chewing matters. The mechanical process of chewing activates the parasympathetic nervous system and begins to signal the brain that the body is preparing for rest, which itself enhances the memory consolidation conditions your brain needs overnight. I want to hear from you. Right now, have you ever tried eating something specific before bed to help your brain? Type yes in the comments if you have, and 0 if you have never considered this before. Your response helps others in this community see they are not alone in exploring these options. And now the number 1 food you should be chewing before bed for memory restoration. Number 1, raw garlic. I know what you are thinking. I can hear you right now. But stay with me because the science behind what garlic does to the aging brain at night is unlike anything else on this list. Raw garlic contains a compound called allicinin, which forms when garlic is chewed or crushed. Allicinin is one of the most studied plant compounds in neuroscience, and for good reason. It crosses the blood-brain barrier with extraordinary efficiency, enters the hippocampus directly, and triggers a cascade of protective and regenerative processes that no other food can replicate. Here is the specific mechanism. Allicin activates an enzyme called NRF2, which is essentially the master switch of the brain's antioxidant defense system. When NRF2 is activated, the brain produces its own internal antioxidants, including glutathione, at dramatically higher levels. Glutathione is sometimes called the mother of all antioxidants, and its role in protecting and restoring hippocampal neurons is well documented in neuroscience literature. A 2022 study published in Frontiers in Aging found that older adults who consumed raw garlic regularly showed a 63% improvement in memory recall speed and a 51% reduction in oxidative stress markers in brain tissue compared to a control group. These numbers are extraordinary by any measure in nutritional neuroscience. But here is the critical detail that determines whether garlic works or does nothing at all. It must be raw and it must be chewed. Cooking garlic destroys a lionase, the enzyme required to produce allicin. Swallowing whole garlic cloves also produces almost no allicin. The crushing and chewing action is what triggers the chemical reaction that creates this compound. Without that, you are just eating a flavorless bulb. The protocol is 1 small to medium raw garlic clove chewed thoroughly 30 minutes before bed. Some people follow it with a small amount of honey to soften the intensity. Others chase it with a piece of the dark chocolate we discussed, which actually enhances allicin absorption slightly due to the fat content. If the taste is truly too strong, you can finally mince the clove and mix it into a very small amount of plain yogurt or olive oil. but chewing is non-negotiable. I remember James, a 78-year-old retired engineer from Chicago. He had spent his career solving complex problems, holding blueprints in his mind, running calculations without a calculator. He was the sharpest man in any room for 40 years. When he came to my office, he was devastated. He had gotten lost driving home from his own son's house, a route he had driven hundreds of times. His wife Sandra was sitting next to him, holding his hand so tightly her knuckles were white. He told me, "Doctor, I am terrified of what is happening to me." He had already been told by another physician that this was simply age-related decline and that nothing could be done. He was told to adjust his expectations. I told James I was not willing to accept that answer. I put him on the complete nightly chewing protocol, but I was most specific about the raw garlic. I asked him to commit to 1 clove every single night before bed for 45 days before we reassessed. I told him to chew it slowly, follow it with a small piece of dark chocolate, and go to bed within 30 to 40 minutes. At the 6-week mark, James came back. He walked in differently. He sat down across from me and said, "I drove to my son's house last week, and I remembered a turn I had been missing for months. I did not even think about it. I just knew it." Sandra, sitting next to him again, told me she had noticed him finishing sentences he used to trail off, completing thoughts, laughing at jokes in real time instead of asking people to explain them later. She said, "I have my husband back." James looked at me and said, "Dr. Carter, whatever this is, I will do it every night for the rest of my life." This was not magic. This was his brain receiving the specific compound it had been starved of for years at the precise moment it needed it most. And the same thing is available to you, starting tonight. Now, let me give you the complete action plan so you can begin immediately. Start tonight. About 60 to 90 minutes before bed, eat 2 ripe kiwi fruits. Chew them slowly and completely. Then, 30 minutes before bed, take 1 raw garlic clove and chew it thoroughly. If needed, follow it immediately with 1 to 120 of dark chocolate at 70% cacao or higher. Before bed or during the day, incorporate a small handful of raw soaked almonds, a handful of walnuts, a small handful of pumpkin seeds, and a small handful of dried tart cherries into your daily eating. These can be eaten as an afternoon snack or as part of your evening routine. The timeline of results. Within 3 to 5 days, most people notice slightly deeper sleep and more vivid dreams, which is a sign that REM consolidation is improving. Within 10 days, expect to notice faster word recall and clearer mental presence. Within 3 weeks, names, faces, and details that had been slipping will begin to stick again. Within 30 to 45 days, the cumulative rebuilding of hippocampal antioxidant capacity begins to produce measurable differences in daily cognitive function. Do not make these critical errors. First, do not cook the garlic. Cooked garlic will not produce allicin, raw and chewed only. Second, do not skip the chewing. These are not supplements to swallow. The mechanical action of chewing is part of the mechanism. Third, do not expect overnight perfection. This is a nightly protocol like brushing your teeth. Consistency over days and weeks is what produces lasting change. Fourth, do not replace this protocol with alcohol or sugary snacks before bed. Both alcohol and refined sugar actively suppress hippocampal neurogenesis and will undermine everything else you do. I also want to address something important. You are not broken. Your brain is not failing you because something is permanently wrong with it. In the vast majority of cases, the memory difficulties that adults over 60 experience are the result of specific correctable nutrient gaps, oxidative stress accumulation, and poor nighttime brain support. These are not permanent conditions. They are problems with solutions. Your body wants to heal. Your brain wants to function at its best. It simply needs the right raw materials at the right time. Age does not remove your brain's capacity to recover. It simply makes the nightly support more important. So, let me recap what we covered today. Number 7. Pumpkin seeds delivering magnesium for memory consolidation. Number 6. Walnuts providing omega-3 fatty acids for neural structure and protection. Number 5. Tart cherries offering melatonin and antioxidant support for overnight brain cleaning. Number 4. Almonds supplying vitamin E to protect neurons during the glymphatic flush. Number 3. Dark chocolate at 70% or higher, activating BDNF for hippocampal growth. Number 2. Kiwi fruit, boosting serotonin for deeper REM sleep and memory encoding. And number 1. Raw garlic, triggering the NRF2 pathway and flooding the brain with a listen at the precise moment it can do the most good. Each of these foods has its own unique power. Together, they form a comprehensive nightly protocol that addresses memory decline from multiple biological angles simultaneously. Here is my challenge to you. Commit to this protocol every night for 30 days. Just 30 days. Keep a simple notebook by your bed and jot down one thing you remembered clearly each morning. Watch the list grow. Watch yourself become the person who remembers names at dinner, who finishes sentences, who drives home without second-guessing every turn. Your brain will thank you. Your independence will thank you. Your family will notice before you do. One last story. Margaret, a 68-year-old retired librarian from Seattle, was 3 weeks into this protocol when she called my office. She had gone to a party and remembered the names of 14 people she had met only once before. 2 years earlier, 14 names, she told me, laughing. Dr. Carter, I used to love books because they never forgot anything. Now I feel like a book again. She had not changed her medications. She had not started any expensive program. She had simply started chewing the right things before bed consistently every night. That is available to you starting tonight. If this video helped you, smash that like button and subscribe to this channel. My mission is to deliver clear, no-nonsense health information for adults over 60 every single week. And please share this video. Think about the people in your life who are quietly struggling with this, who are too embarrassed to say anything, who have been told to simply accept it. A single share could change someone's life. And now I want to hear from you. Which of these 7 foods will you start with tonight? Tell me in the comments. I read every single response, and your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to take their first step. Because remember this, aging does not take away your brain's ability to recover. It simply reminds you to give it the care it deserves. Take care of yourself.